How's it going, everybody? It's your man, Alpine Hippie, and today we're going to be doing a little fireside reading. Now, I'm seeking to give you guys a classier experience than usual, a little soiree into the side of me that you don't usually see on this channel, because I'm not just a goofy 22-year-old guy with a YouTube channel with under 50 subscribers. I'm a smooth man with lots of class and lots of knowledge of classy things. So today I'm going to be reading you some stories from the classiest website there is, Reddit. Now without further ado, let's do episode 1 of Alpine Hippie's Fireside Readings. Now knowing that Reddit is a very classy site, I trust it implicitly. So I chose these stories based off title alone, and I trust that they're holding some classy material. Story 1. My entire school can't use bath paper because of me. I know it isn't that big of a confession, but I want to tell everyone about it. It was the last class of the day, and me and my classmates were ready to go home. I then remembered that I had to go home by myself, so I rushed to the bathroom to refill my bottle. Yes, I refill my bottle with the school's water. Then, I did a fucking mess, so I had to clean my bottle. And so I did. The problem was, I used too much bathroom paper. The next day, the school janitor came into my classroom to announce that the bathroom paper will not be in our bath ever since. And then it showed the same piece of paper I used to clean my bottle. I then ignored it, and never told anyone about that. Sorry for bad English, but I'm trying to become a bilingual. Thank you for reading my confession. Edit. Thanks to all the good guys telling me it's paper towels. I appreciate it. An excellent story to open for sure, definitely showing what Reddit is capable of in the classy department. It's truly taking seat up with other classy things such as caviar or Rolex watches. Story 2. I spilled my friend's grandmother's ashes into their chicken soup and never told them. A few years ago, I was making chicken soup with one of my close friends. They had had their grandmother's ashes on their table since she had recently passed away back then. Very sad. We were making soup and sandwiches not only for ourselves, but also for my friend's parents as well, as a few of their relatives was ours. I was in charge of the soup, and my friend was doing the sandwiches. When we were ready, my friend told me to serve the soup, for everyone was going to be here. I agreed. Then while I was on my phone, I spilled some of the ashes in the kitchen, and most of it went in the soup. It happens to the best of us. I quickly cleaned up the ashes from everywhere, but I couldn't get it all out of the soup. I heard footsteps coming from near the bathroom, and I knew that my best friend was done with their business, so I quickly mixed the ashes into the soup. My friend asked me why I hadn't done anything. I lied and said I was feeling sick and asked if they could do it. They served everyone's soup, and about 10 minutes later, everyone showed up and started to eat the soup and sandwiches. I said I was feeling sick to eat because I didn't want to consume any of my friend's grandmother's ashes. I absolutely understand. I watched in horror as they all consumed the soup with the ashes. I tried really hard not to make eye contact with any of them. My friend's mother said the soup tasted weird and asked which one of us was in charge of it. I lied and said they did the soup and I did the sandwiches because I didn't want to take the blame for the food tasting weird. Their mother started lecturing them on how bad their cooking skills were, and how they needed to improve their cooking. I felt horrible, and regretted making them take the blame. I also regretted feeding them soup with ashes in them to the parents, as well as some of the other relatives. I still haven't told them, and I feel like it's too late to tell them. However, I do feel a little bad. To be fair, though, my friends should have tasted the soup before they served it to their family. So I don't think I messed up. A lot more on them. Not gonna lie, anonymous user, you had me till the end there. You already said you felt guilty about sharing the blame. Don't make it worse on yourself. I suggest a revision. Story 3. I destroyed furniture in a parking lot, and I'm nervous I'll get in trouble soon. I'll be honest, I'm hooked. So my friends and I were hanging out, and while I was driving, we noticed that someone was throwing away old chairs. My friend wanted to destroy them, a natural reaction. So I put them in my trunk, and we smashed them into a bunch of pieces in a bowling alley parking lot. We left a mess there, and I'm fully convinced my license plate was recorded from one of the building cameras. I'm 21 years old, have never done any crimes, even petty ones. Will I face any serious consequences? I felt this one was worth reviewing some of the comments. Let's dig in. It's a small ticket, tops, but go clean up your mess. You'll feel better. I promise. Probably looking at life. Better to just turn yourself in now. Laughy face. And we all know now, hell, rat 'em out. I feel this is a good time to remind everyone of our nation's national anti-snitching policy. I think it is also worth noting that snitches do in fact get stitches. Now moving on. Now for the fourth and final story, I thought we'd close off with a little bit of a longer one, with lots of twists and turns, and just from a few small breezes over the paragraphs, I think this one will definitely serve that purpose. Now, to close this beautiful night off, we'll be going with, I have been stealing my roommate's socks for the past 3 years, and I can't stop. For the past 3 years, I, male, 26 years old, have been continuously stealing my roommate, male, 27-year-old's socks. For context, me and my roommate have been living together for the last 4 years. He's a really good guy. He's never done anything wrong to make me want to stop being friends with him at all. For more context, he has a massive sock collection. A coveted trophy to have for sure. I understand the temptation early on. When I first met him, I thought this was kind of funny. And kind of weird, but I didn't question it because I'm quite odd myself. You don't say. After maybe 10 months of living together, I started to randomly get intrusive thoughts to just take his socks. I honestly don't know how or why. This has literally never happened to me. I'm not the kind of person who just randomly wants to steal things either. I decided to ignore these thoughts for maybe a month or two, but then it just got worse. I would go to bed and hear a voice in my head that would be telling me, steal his socks. It just started becoming unbearable. I wouldn't be able to go a day without thinking about taking his socks. It was even worse when I would be hanging out with him after work. I would look at him and all I could think about was his damn socks and how I wanted to take them. End of paragraph 1. At this point, it was just too much to bear, so I just caved in one night while he was staying late at work and decided to go into his room and just steal one singular sock. I put the socks in my drawers, so then it would seem as if our clothes had just been misplaced. That night, I went to sleep. I felt so much better. It was a massive sense of relief and satisfaction. I thought that would be the end of it. But no. A few weeks later, I felt the same agonizing feeling to take his socks yet again. I didn't want to do it, but after enduring a week of these constant thoughts, I once again, while he was working late, decided to go into his room and take another singular sock and then put it in my drawers again. I understand. The early stages of addiction can be very hard to overcome, but I wish you would have fought back. At first, I would maybe steal 1 or 2 socks per month, and more recently, for the past 7 months or so, I've been stealing 1 to 3 socks per week. At first, he just thought our laundry was getting mixed up, but then he started to get very confused as to why his socks were just fully disappearing. For more context, after maybe 7 months of stealing his socks, I started to put them in my car instead of in my drawers because I was afraid that he was getting suspicious. So instead of him finding his random socks around the house or in my room, they would just fully disappear, since he would never go into my car, and even if he did, he would have never been able to find them. He's also gotten quite protective over his sock collection. Anyone would in this economy. He even has spoken to me about the fact that his socks are just disappearing, and when this happened, I decided to tell him that we could look through my dresser to see if some of them got mixed up with my clothes. He agreed, and I told him that we could do that this weekend since I was busy finishing off some of my work. Before that weekend, I decided to go into my car and grab some of his socks, and stuffed them into my drawers so that it would seem as things were accidentally getting mixed up. He believed this and then seemed to stop questioning his socks disappearing and went back to the assumption that they were just getting mixed up with my clothes and around the house. I've been considering confessing to him, but every time he brings a new pair of socks for his collection, I feel unbelievably excited. Now, before anyone says this, no, I do not have a foot fetish, and ironically, I actually hate feet. Seems like something that someone who loves feet would say, but I digress. I also don't believe that this is some sort of kink because I don't get any sexual pleasure from doing this. Now, I would like to reference paragraph 2, line 4 in the sentence. It was a massive sense of relief and satisfaction. I would also like to go back to this paragraph on line 2 and reference I feel unbelievably excited. I'll make no further speculation, but I just thought those particular points of the story were worth going back to at this point. I didn't see the next line before I went back to those, but I'll continue nonetheless. Nor have I ever masturbated to any of this. Well, that's good to hear. Another thing that I think is worth mentioning is that I've never felt the need to steal anything before. I could go into a clothes store and see a bunch of socks and not bat an eye. I just like stealing his socks. Goddamn. This is getting a little, this is taking a turn. Not gonna lie, but let's roll with it. I'm also not obsessed with him, and I could go ages without speaking to him, and I wouldn't have a single problem. He's a really good friend and super kind, and we have gotten very close over the past few years. I feel extremely guilty about doing all this. He hasn't been very upset with his socks going missing or anything, but I just feel like such an asshole for taking his socks for literally no reason whatsoever. Now here's the thing. I think while a lot of people are going to rush toward one of the things that he so fervently denies at the end, I think we should maybe just give him the benefit of the doubt and say that sometimes we just get caught up in cheap thrills and get a little in over our head. Now, I hope you had a nice night sharing some classy stories with me. I hope that if you like this kind of content, you'll both like and subscribe to my channel. It makes a massive, massive impact on a small channel like mine. And without further ado, signing off.